in the kitchen. Come and try my dish. Bitch in the kitchen. Welcome to this dish. Is bitch in the kitchen. This is bitch in the kitchen. In the kitchen. This is bitch in the kitchen. Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. It's Adriana here with today. We're making broth. Welcome to the brothel. This is something that I repeat over and over and over again. I put so much faith and so much love into my broth, and it's effortless and it's free. Here's how I make broth for free year round. As you can see here, I have bags and bags and bags of things. These are all frozen veggie scraps and bones as well. Since I cook the majority of my meals at home, I'm able to use all of my scraps, store them in the freezer until I'm ready to make a huge batch of broth. Anytime you go to the grocery store and anytime you have a meal, yes, you're gonna look crazy to some, but don't throw those bones out, put them in my broth bag. And that is how we create broth for free all year round. Let's get into it. Step one, to get that really meaty, rich flavor, I'm actually going to roast the bones before I start to boil the broth. So I'm gonna take my chicken bones. This bag of bones was once beef marrow that I did roast already. Took the marrow out, whipped it to make like a marrow butter. But we're gonna roast these again. And then if for some reason you don't have enough meat, you could always buy some. This is optional, but I really wanted a meaty flavor for this batch. I actually have bone-in beef short ribs that I'm gonna roast at the same time. It doesn't matter if it cooks all the way through because I'm gonna throw it in the pot for upwards of 8 hours, so it will eventually cook off. Some of you may be wondering, well, why would I do this when I could just go to the store? There are multiple reasons why I make homemade broth all the time. One of which is being I know exactly what is going into my broth. If you go to the grocery store and you turn it around and you read the labels of the boxed broths or the canned broths, a lot of them have added sugars, citric acids, other things that you don't need or want in your broth. Reason number two is you wind up saving a lot of money. This is essentially free. Unless you go out and you buy extra meat for your broth, everything you have is from already purchased groceries. Number three, I love gifting my broth. I made it for Christmas gifts last year. I may have enough in this batch to even have for Christmas this year. So without further ado, I'm gonna stick these in the oven, 400 degrees, probably for about 40 minutes, just because they're frozen. I wanna make sure that they get that roasty flavor on there. Let's go. While they're in, I'm going to add the veggie scraps, and I will kind of give you an example of what is in each bag. These have been accumulating for a very long time. I probably make broth quarterly, so I have enough broth to last me like 3 months at a time. All right, this bag has onion skins, scallion butts, carrots, garlic. These bags contain so much fennel. I went through a fennel phase this summer. Oh, this was an heirloom tomato. A butterball! I made this butter homemade. Wow. I see some tricolored carrots in here. In with bag number two. Carrots, fennel. Oh, I see some leeks in here. Green onions. Oh, rhubarb. I tried rhubarb for the first time this summer. So sick. I see some turnips in here. Amazing. So look at all this rainbow. All of this rainbow is no waste. I operate in a no waste household. I truly believe that all of our food scraps can be repurposed into something better or a gift. No one has to know that you're using your trash for a gift. This is, for reference, a 20-quart pot. So we're witching and bitching in here. Whatever you don't use goes back in the freezer. If you don't use all the bones, put it back in the freezer. Also, you don't have to have meat in this. This works for vegetables. This works for any kind of bones. I'm doing chicken and beef, but you can do lamb. You can do whatever you want. If you want more of like a gamey broth, more power to you. In addition to what I put in here, sometimes I add a little oomph to it. So that includes whole black peppercorns. If you just have a pepper mill or regular pepper, you could put it in. You don't even have to put it in. I like a little bit of a kick from this and not a pepper. So I will put a bunch of those in. I'll normally add another onion, which I'll rough chop. Also, garlic and peels. I've been saving these. Bam, 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 bam. Anything in your fridge at the time of broth making that's like on its way out, throw in there as well. Other than that, we are going to wait until the bones are done. We're gonna add them in and then we're gonna fill the whole thing with water. So at this point, we're gonna add the meat to the pot and fill with water. I don't want to miss any of the fat that has already come out. So at this point, I'm just gonna pour. Roasting the bones also is optional. I'm doing it, again, to get that meaty flavor really forward when you sip your broth. There are times where I haven't done this and it's just as, it's good also. Since this is a 20 quart pot, I'm going to physically walk it over to the sink. And I'm literally just going to put the hose over and fill it up. Rule of thumb, you wanna just make sure that everything is basically covered. Last step, we lift, we use our muscles, and we bring this over to the stovetop. I'm gonna put this on the back burner because my burners are sized. Put it on a bigger burner. We wanna get this to a rolling boil. And then once it gets to the rolling boil, we're gonna turn it down to a simmer. It's gonna boil for like 8 hours. To speed up the boiling process and to make sure that the water doesn't evaporate right out of the gate, we're gonna cover the broth and then eventually we will let some evaporate. And that's the beauty of broth. You just cover it and you let it sit and you could do anything else. And if you feel like leaving the house, that's up to you. I won't be leaving the house, but there you have it. When this is boiling, I will come back, show you, and then we will take the next steps. Okay, everybody, welcome back. The broth is boiling. Once we have a rolling boil, we are going to turn this down to a simmer, which is what it's going to remain at for the majority of the rest of the cooking. Marco from Brodo recommends this method for full flavor profiling, to move the broth over to the side so it boils upwards, goes over, and recycles the flavors essentially the whole time. Put it down to a simmer, and we're gonna cover that for the next 6 hours or so. Depending on how heavy you like your broth flavor, depends on how long you're gonna let this sit. I really like to do mine overnight or starting in the early morning hours, going all the way till nighttime. I forgot to mention this earlier, I don't salt my broth because you can't take salt out. So I like to see what it tastes like before the salt goes in, and then I'll add it accordingly. So I will check back with you either tonight or tomorrow morning when this is simmered and flavors are at full effect. Getting bored of cooking in silence? I have the answer. You could listen to this song for free by following the link up here. What do I do in my spare time? Stop right there. I make music. So if you have nothing to listen to the next time you make a meal, or nothing to listen to the next time you're driving, well, jump on the bandwagon. We're listening to sweet tunes of smooth sounds with Adriana and Marsh Mango. You can check it out here or down in the description box below. Stay tuned for the rest of this broth. One day later. What's up, you guys? Welcome to the following day of broth. After the broth has sat for upwards of 8 hours, I've let it cool a bit, and now is the extraction method. Forgive me, I don't know the name, but we're gonna use one of these tools to fish out all of the solids. So we have majority of just broth, and then we're gonna go into the straining method. That's what our broth looks like right now. And then we basically just go in and we start scooping it out. You could take this a step further and grab like your vegetables and actually blend them and re-add it, but to me, that's just extra work that I don't want to do right now, so I'm not gonna. Don't get discouraged when half of your liquid sinks after removing all of this stuff, because you're still gonna get a lot of broth out of it, trust. At this point, if you come over here and look, I have my 4 big jars out and my pitcher. I go in with the pitcher first and I see how much I could fit into this jar, and then anything else I put in these. I also like to scoop the fat off of the top sometimes, and these are just the best jars to do that in. Oh my gosh. Okay. Also, for canning reasons, it's easier to distribute once it's in a pitcher like this. And this is where we double strain. Key tip, when you're freezing broth, you cannot fill the jar all the way to the top because cold liquids expand. So you will end up with a cracked glass if you fill it all the way up to the top and then put it in the freezer. It'll expand and it will ruin your jars. It's a gorgeous color. Actually, we're really not gonna freeze any of them right this second because they're gonna go in the fridge so the fat can congeal. Okay, well that's a wrap for this episode of Bitch in the Kitchen. Thank you guys so much for hanging around and watching me make broth for free. You can do this too. Save all your scraps, have a broth bag. All you need is an accumulation of bones or not and vegetables, and you can make whatever kind of broth that you want. If you have a day to spare or it's raining and you want soup, don't continue to go to the store and buy broth. You don't want the ingredients. You don't know what's in the broth. When you cook food yourself and you store all of the food in the freezer until you're ready, you know exactly what's going in it and you're not paying any extra at the store to go and buy it. It's fulfilling, liberating, and when you share that with people, oh, I made this broth, they're like, oh. And really it's so easy. So cheers to broth, and I will see you guys next time.